right, we're back at Helix High School with Coach Robbie Owens and the Helix Highlanders. And Coach, well, we got to dwell on last season a little bit, but I think if anything, it provides for motivation for some of your seniors this season. Of course, sharing the league championship. Nothing wrong with another league title for the Helix Highlanders, and hats off to the Steel Canyon Cougars and Granite Hills Eagles. If anything, it makes this league stronger. And then getting to the CIF Division I title game, Dave, one of the best games of the season. Unfortunately, Helix came out on the short end, 22-21 in that game. But if anything, it's going to leave a little bit of hunger, a little bit of fire for these guys.
Yeah, the end of that one, Coach, I'm sure it was, if you could do a rewind, you would definitely do so, because it was such a great game and you guys played so well, and to come up short on just one play.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, as a coach, you're always going to sit back and you're going to kind of look and analyze what you did and why you did it. And, you know, I think the saving grace for me is if you put it on the film and you look at it, if we hand the ball off to LLA and we don't fumble the snap, he scores easily. And so, you know, that's the only thing that's kind of, you know, saves you. At the end of the day, when you're at Helix, the expectation we want to win CIF championships. And, you know, we've won one, and our mantra is, you know, we want to win 10. And so, you know, that it doesn't matter if it's Division I, Open Division. You know, we know there's good football, you know, throughout. I think East County, like you said, with Steel Canyon, last year beating us. I think the last couple of years, you know, East County's represented very well in the Open Division when it was 8 teams. They done, you know, Steel Canyon made it to the state championship and all those things. Ramona was good the one year. I think, you know, Monte Vista, there's a lot of good football here in East County, and I think sometimes it gets downplayed because of North County, but that's fine. You know, the thing about Helix, and I think, you know, those other guys are getting used to it, is we're going to take on anybody that wants to play us. And, you know, I respect all the coaches in our league and think they've done a great job of kind of competing and building their programs up. And so we know we got to play each and every week.
And that seems to be the motto, I mean, throughout the Hills League in particular, is the teams are so good, and all the coaches pretty much repeat exactly what you're talking about, is we can hold our own with any of those top teams that come out of the North County or out of the South Bay. And shouldn't be overlooked. I mean, like you said, look at the championships in the last few. I mean, Steel and yourselves, I mean, that speaks volumes.
Yeah, and I think, you know, you look at what Steel did. I mean, you look at Grossmont, even the year we won CIF and played Mission Hills, and everybody kind of felt like it was Mission Hills and us. You know, Grossmont played Mission Hills very well in that first round. So, you know, I just think, you know, that everybody out there, you know, kind of understands the landscape of where San Diego football is. And, you know, with East County, sometimes it gets downplayed. But, you know, we're going to go out there and play good football on each and every week. And we know as at Helix, we got to come out and play each week because those teams are getting better and better each year.
And if you look at your schedule too, I mean, it speaks to exactly how good you have been throughout the years. I mean, you don't have anybody you face that's something you circle and say, well, that's a lay-down game.
Yeah, I think ever since I've been here, I think that, you know, it's hard to fill our schedule. You know, the Cathedral and Saints, you know, I call it our own little holy war. I think, you know, I love the fact that we get to play those guys because, you know, there are always going to be 2 teams that are going to be up there in the top of San Diego, and we respect their coaching staffs and, you know, and what they do. And so, you know, it's nice to have those 2 games. And then, you know, we're always looking for an out-of-state opponent. This year we get Harriman, who we played 2 years ago. We've played a couple of Utah schools and obviously played in the Honor Bowl and played, you know, some other teams. And you know, Cajon's been a team that's been on the rise in the southern section and has had tremendous athletes. I think they had 10 Division I guys last year. And so, you know, they're a great team. And then, you know, this year we just happened to kind of fall into Oaks Christian just because both of us were looking for a game. And, you know, we had a great game in the playoffs 2 years ago. And again, Oaks Christian is loaded with talent. And, you know, I think last year they had like 20 Division I guys. So, you know, you know, when you come to Helix, you know, the first part of your season is going to be top heavy, and there's going to be some great teams. And I think it gets our kids ready. And, you know, it's more about the experience and the opportunity to play with great teams. And then we know once we get into it that every team in our conferences give us their best shot. So, you know, we got to come out ready to go, and we have to come out for 10 weeks. But I think our schedule, I feel like, gets us ready for the playoffs. And that's what it's all about. Once you get to the playoffs, we're 0-0, and everybody's got to go out there and play football.
How do you whittle it down from those non-league games and then you get into the league schedule?
Well, we truly do look at our season in twofold. I mean, we definitely talk about the non-conference. You know, 4 of those 5 teams we play are open division teams in any section. And so, we're definitely, we know that we have that. And then we do regroup when we start. We have some different things that we do to prepare ourselves for the conference schedule that we don't do for the non-conference. That, some of the goals and expectations that we set, some of the, little traditional things that we do are for when we get into the league play. And league is important. I mean, it is something we expect to win the league every year. And, our expectation every year is we're going to win the league and we're going to play for an open division championship. But you got to go out there and you got to do it each week. And so, we kind of look at our season as, there's 3 parts to it. We got our non-conference, our conference, and then we're going to get to the playoffs and make a playoff run. And, when you look at, the teams that got the most CIF championships, it wasn't like every one of those won an open division championship. And I think sometimes people think, they won all these open division championships. They didn't. And so, the biggest thing we tell our guys, we want to win a CIF championship, and it means the same amount when Steel Canyon won theirs. It meant the same to their school as it meant to us when we won the open. And so we're going to go out there and, wherever we end up in the playoffs, our expectation is to win a championship.
Dave, last year Helix did not win the CIF championship, but the year before they did. The year before that they didn't, but the year before that they did. So if you see a pattern here, maybe the Highlanders will win the championship.
You look at Cathedral, you go to Cathedral, Cathedral wins it, and then we win it, and then, Cathedral wins it. There is a pattern, and, I think at the end of the day, we know there's great football in San Diego, and probably the last 2 years where they've shortened the open from 8 to 4 teams, it's probably been the 2 years where it's probably more wide open than it's ever been. And since I've been here, my first 2 years, you probably could have said that Cathedral and us were the 2 best teams the first year, and Mission Hills and us were the 2 best teams the following year. But the last 2 years, there's a lot of teams that can win, depending on the matchup and the weekend. And so, it's going to be interesting. This year will be the same. I think Cathedral and Saints are bringing back a big core in their nucleus, and obviously Lincoln got the transfers, and so they're going to be loaded with talent, and everybody saw them in 7-on-7 during the summer. So, this is going to be a year, where East County kind of figures out, who's going to kind of rise to the front, because they got some great football teams, and, it's going to be interesting where everybody falls at the end of the year.
And that Svato was actually referring to as well as the way that you really have to go in and scheme for these teams too, and really study that film and put together a solid game plan, because you can have all the talent in the world, but if you don't have those schemes working the way they should, then you're definitely it's not gonna end up the way you.
Well, I think you look at Helix traditionally. I mean, we've had one losing season in 40 years, and that just doesn't happen by accident. We got some great coaches. I mean, I came in here and kept a lot of the coaching staff that was with Coach Starr, and you look at the coaches on our staff, they're in it for the right reasons. We have some great football guys, some high expectations. The thing about Helix, both academically and socially and everything about this community and the administration here at Helix, the expectation's high. And so it just carries over into football, and it makes things easy. And I think everything that this school does and the culture that it breeds helps us in football. And I know football's been a big part of that culture, and we just want to continue that process. And so I'm excited about the opportunity to coach with these guys. Coach DiMaggio is, our defensive coordinators. I would tell you right now, could coach at any level. Coach college, coach in the NFL, coach youth football, whatever. We got Coach Parker, who played in the NFL. Literally is one of the top assistants I've ever coached in my 23 years of coaching. And so when you have those guys around you and you let them coach, I mean, a lot of times I stand around and you just let those guys coach, and and then DiMaggio and I are going to get together and we're going to scheme, offense and defense, and those guys are going to help us, win championships.
Dave, you mentioned Lilian, Fato, Noah, and Coach. I was asked about some of the personnel of this team, but I think it all starts with Fato. He's a leading candidate for the CIF Player of the Year, the Silver Pigskin Trophy this year, and nothing's really going to stop him, I think. Certainly could be well over a 2,000-yard rusher this season. So tell us what he means. It's his 4th year. It's your 4th year. You also coached his brother. So tell us what he's meant to this program.
Well, he's the heart and soul of our team, and he's that kid that I tell everybody, if you had 22 Lilian Noahs on your team, you'd win a lot of championships anywhere in the country. And he's such a special and unique kid. And, he came in as a freshman, 160 pounds, wet, and gets out there. And the first time we put him in a ones period and he ran the football, said he's never going back to JV. And, he ended up playing a lot for us that year and helped us in the playoff run. And then obviously the next year as a sophomore carried us. And last year was a big integral part He's a special kid. The way he carries the football, I mean, I tell Division I coaches all the time, the way he carries the ball, it's like his last time he's ever going to carry it. So, he runs with passion. It comes from his family and the pride that he has. And he's chasing a lot of records, chasing some Reggie records, chasing Coach Van's records. And, there's a lot of things in CIF San Diego that he would have a chance to get. And it's because he's been so talented and he's been successful, since his first year. And, obviously, he's going to be vital to our success.
One thing I noted in a story last year that I wrote about one of the Highlanders games was I likened Elelion to another great Helix running back, Casey Tiamalu, with that shoulders down running style, staying low to the ground and being able to keep his feet moving even after contact and rolling on defenders that are trying to talk to him.
Well, I tell you, when he weighed 160 pounds, he ran the ball like he was 205. Now he's 205. And I can tell you right now, the way he's looked in spring and the way he runs, it's funny for me because he's always played up. He's always played with older kids. He's to the point now where he is the older guy. It's going to be pretty scary to see him out in the open field sometimes. And he's worked hard this offseason.
And talk about all those schools that are courting him. There's more to come, I think, Dave. But still some other talented players on this team. Dave, we do have some news out of Highlander camp. Delshawn Traylor, we mentioned, is the quarterback of this team. I think everyone recognizes that he is heading for the United States Military Academy to play his college football, already committed, and he wants to play quarterback at Army. But the news out of the Highlander camp is we're looking at another 2-quarterback system this year, maybe just like last year. Cameron Brown taking snaps and looking very good at quarterback. Traylor is going to be needed in a lot of places on the field. He's so important to this team, and maybe Coach looks to give him a bit of a breather, Dave. Right now, Cameron Brown sharing time at quarterback with Delshawn Traylor.
Yeah, Coach, and how did this evolve? I mean, when did this actually take place, if you can take us through that? I mean, when this decision was made, or if it was made last year at the end of the year, or how did this come about?
Well, we kind of went into the offseason with the idea that Delshawn was going to concentrate on defense. He obviously making all CIF as a defensive player, and he was vital to us on defense. And we kind of knew what we got from Delshawn and what we had. And so, we spent the offseason kind of finding a quarterback. Cam's just been kind of a late addition. Cam was doing some stuff for us on scout team, and he was a guy that did it for us last year where we have a running quarterback. We kind of stick Cam back there and let him run around. And, he did some things in practice after Coach Samaja put him in, and, it kind of resonated with me. And I said, we at least need to give him a look. And literally the next day, Cam started taking reps, and he's gotten better. And obviously the scrimmage yesterday, Cam played really well. There's still some little nuances to the offense that he has to pick up, and pass protection and things like that. But, he's really showed some promise. And we're still going to use Delshawn, as you guys said. Delshawn's a guy that he's 6 guys for us. I mean, he's going to play receiver. He's going to play running back. He's going to play, safety. He can play some corner. He can, he can come in a punt returner, kick returner. So he's vital to us in a lot of areas. And yes, he is a quarterback for us, but I think for us, defense is his main position, and we've always kind of felt that way since we moved him last year. But he will get his reps at quarterback, and he'll still get those. He's still going to be a running back sometimes. So we're going to utilize his skills the best we can, and utilize the talents that we have. And that's one thing at Helix. You're always going to have talented guys. It's just making sure we put them in the right spot.
Dave, Helix has power running. They're kind of a run-heavy team in a way, and if anything, they have good, even great wide receivers, and this year that'll be the case again. Maybe they don't get the stats as some of the other receivers in the county because they don't throw as much. But Coach, you're loaded really at wide receiver. Timothy Christopher is a guy, if you had to pick someone on this team that after those 2 guys we mentioned that are already getting D1 looks, Timothy Christopher is a guy that's starting to get, I believe, at least some feelers, some attention from some of the 4-year schools. Also, Brown and Traylor can move in as one guy goes to quarterback, but also Jahari Hill. We know him as a good basketball player. Andre Salcido. And also, we've seen you might have a transfer in here, Keontae Scott, who's making some noise.
Yeah, I mean, our receivers are we're loaded at receiver right now. I think, Tim Christopher is, good a route runner and as talented as a receiver is out there. And Jahari Hill is a big target, 6'5", and is, ran track and did some long jump and triple jump last year and is running, much better this year. And, Keontae Scott transferred from Vegas and is very talented on both sides. He's a corner, but we're using him on offense. You'll see him probably have some running back and some receiver, and very talented guy. And so Sammy Stewart's another basketball player we have out there. So we have, when we walk out on the field, we have 6'2" and taller receivers. We're athletic. We definitely look the part. It's just going to be important to get Cam and Delshawn and Jeffrey Schrock, our other quarterback, just to make sure that those guys are getting the ball to those guys. And we know everybody's going to gear up to stop El Elyon. And that was probably our downfall a little bit with Saints last year in the championship game is, we were kind of heavy on the run and part of it was me, part of it was the play at quarterback that we just got to get better there. And we definitely got to take advantage of those guys on the outside, and we hope to do that, starting from game one and getting the ball to our playmakers.
Tell us about the offensive line. Leandre Rail, maybe the leader there, certainly one of the top 2 or 3 offensive linemen in the East County, if not the guy.
Leandre's a presence. When you walk on the field, you're going to see 6'7", 370, and you're going to notice him. I think the 2 guys that really stand out are Sean Martinez and Anthony Lombardo. They kind of play our left side, our guard and tackle. They're 2-way guys, start for us on defense. Lombardo's one of those players. He's a guy he's kind of a garbage guy, man. He's going to do whatever he needs on both sides of the ball, and he's a guy you win football games with in high school. And Sean Martinez is a young guy that's really stepped up. That those guys have played really well on both sides. And then Noah at center has done a great job for us and played well. And we're still looking at the other guard position. Got a few guys that have kind of repped in there, but feel really good about it, where we're at offensive line wise. And I feel like we're a little bit ahead schematically in their knowledge. And I think that's the biggest thing is with what we do offensively and the scheme that we run. Both sides of the ball. We're running a college scheme, and so those guys have to pick up little nuances. And I think that's the biggest thing for us is getting guys comfortable within our offense.
Dave, some big pieces to replace on defense. Maybe that's where the Highlanders have had to shore up a little bit heading into this season. But I think the leader over there, Jeremiah Fletcher, an edge rusher, one of the best pass rushers in the county, and moves well when not being engaged, very quick. Tell us about Fletcher. Tell us about the defense.
Well, Jeremiah, we're actually going to move back to linebacker, which was kind of his natural position. He went to defensive end last year and had a great season, as you said, was one of the top pass rushers in the CIF. And so him at linebacker, I know Delshawn talked about it earlier, with Jeremiah and John Carroll and Jerry Riggins, 3 talented guys. We got 3 talented guys, but losing Michael Shawcroft and Jagger Giles and Jay Ray, we had to have 3 guys step up, and these guys have really stepped up for us, and we're excited about them. Obviously, you having Anthony Lombardo and Sean Martinez in front of them, 2-way guys. Those guys will help us, and then we have 2 defensive ends that'll be a presence when they walk on the field with Zito and Jordan Dominguez. So the back end we had to replace some guys as well, but all those skill guys we've been talking about on offense are all defensive guys for us as well. Jaden Brown is a talented corner forward that mainly plays defense, but the rest of the guys are offense defensive guys. So we feel like we're talented. And Keontae Scott coming from Vegas, to be honest with you, his natural skills as a corner he's probably one of the top guys we've had just from the few weeks that we've had him. Seeing him in the scrimmage yesterday, he's still trying to pick up the nuances of defense, but as talented as guys we've had.
Dave, they just plug in new guys, but I just wanted to mention some news that came out yesterday about Michael Shawcroft at San Diego State. Coach Long was in a press conference after practice, and Coach Long doesn't really play freshmen. He likes to groom them along, have them learn, but he said if the season were to start tomorrow, that Michael would be in that starting lineup, and that was so interesting, Coach.
Yeah, and it doesn't shock me. I mean, Michael's a football, junkie. He's a guy that works tremendously hard. Obviously, a very smart kid. He's a 4.2 GPA guy. Was so talented for us. Started as a sophomore and played some defensive line for us. Played linebacker. Was a great pass rusher when we blitzed him off the edge. Great 7-on-7 guy because of his length and his athleticism, and so nothing surprised me. I mean, him going there and competing for a job, anybody that's coached Michael and been around him, the expectation for us was that he was going to go in there and compete right away. And like you said, coming from Coach Long, that's a huge compliment to him. And just his work ethic and drive that he has with this game. So, we're excited about getting a chance to see him this season.